Hello and a good morning, good afternoon and a very good evening to you. We're going to want people for tube today. Hope you're feeling grand and those when you will. Hello everybody. Today's vid, everybody. I'm starting a new little mini series, if you will, on the channel today. So this series is called Gig Stories. Basically, what this is me telling you stories about some of the absolutely mental gigs that I have done in my time of being a musician. And this is basically the first episode, and if you like this one, then I'll do others. But if you don't like it, then obviously this will be the only one. So, I've been gigging since I first started playing guitar. I did my first gig 6 months after I picked up the guitar, I believe May, June, July, August, October, November. 6 months, yeah. And I've basically been gigging ever since, and I love gigging. It's one of my favourite things to do, if not my favoritist thing to do. Definitely up there, should we say. So, I've always done it, and I've experienced some rather interesting things along the road, people with tube. And I thought it's time to kind of like start telling some of these stories. And, you know, they are all true. I won't embellish them. These are actually all things that happened. And I have quite a lot of them. And initially, I had the idea for this series of videos, PeopleTube, in lockdown, when we were in lockdown. When we all went into lockdown in 2020, I did a live stream every night on Instagram where I would play songs and I would talk and, you know, just generally try and bring up people's moods because it was a crap time to be. It really was. It was a horrible time, and I'm sure we can all agree with that one. So my idea was I'd go on Instagram every night, and I would do a live stream for maybe 2 to 3 hours playing in this room, and just try and kind of like, you know, break the monotony of what everyone was going through. Well, at least try and help. You know, I don't know. I don't think I did much help, but I tried. Eventually I burnt myself out doing it because it was like 3 hours a night every night. I did it for like a month and a bit. Every night, and I just exhausted myself eventually because I was playing for 3 hours a night basically relentlessly, and then I was filming in the day YouTube videos, and I was doing also another vids as well called Songs from a Red Sofa for Instagram as well. So it got a bit too much, and I had to kind of like take a break. But one of the things that became quite funnily a bit of a hit with these live streams was when I would tell these gig stories, and because they were live streams, you know, you can't go back and watch them. And people really enjoyed them, and because they were quite amusing and hysterical. Some of them are some are maddening, but some of them are like, what the hell, you know? And this first one is, you know, I'm starting out with a bang here. Is one of those, and like I say, I have more of these. So if you do like this vid, let me know, and I will do more of them. But yeah, I say I'm going to entitle this as Gig Stories, you know, with Dave Simpson. Welcome and come into my living room here. And I'll do more of them because I've got lots of stories, people with you, that I can tell you about gigging. Because I've always been like the pub musician, you know. I've never got to play any big crowds or anything like that. I would love to, but it'll never happen, and that's just my lot. But that's it is what it is. Anyway, I don't want to go into that. That's not what this video is about. So anyway, shall we start the tale, people of the tube? Okay, so now I'm going to try and find a picture of this as well, because I do have a picture of the billboard where we were playing. So at the time we had like a manager who was booking us gigs all over the place. Some of the gigs were not what we should have been doing. This is 2012 we're playing this, so this is all the way back to 10 years ago now. And he booked us a gig. I don't remember what the pub was called. It might be in the picture, I don't know. I'll try and find this picture. If there's no picture at some point in this vid, I didn't find it. But anyway, we'll get to that when we get to it. So he booked us this gig at this pub in a town called Spalding, which is about an hour and a bit away from where I live here. It's just on the just outskirts of Lincolnshire, and he booked us at this pub. Apparently they did a lot of gigs there. Apparently. And so we went off. John Joe just joined the band in 2012, and this was probably like summertime 2012. I remember it being quite sunny and quite warm. I have hair in my mouth. And I remember like John Joe had just joined the band, and we'd already had some rather interesting gigs by this time. And I had some in previous incantations of the trio and also other bands. Anyway, so me and my brother, who was playing bass with the trio at the time, we went off to Spalding, meet John Joe there. We got there first, and this is hopefully where the picture will come in, people. I don't know if I can find it, but hopefully I'll find it. If not, I'll explain anyway. We got to the pub, found it down this long road. It was on the outskirts of Spalding, and there was this sign here, which said the Jimi Hendrix Band. Or Jimi Hendrix Band, should I say, sorry. Where it was Jimmy Hendrix Band. Which is not what we were called. We were the Dave Simpson Trio. So why they decided to put on this billboard the Jimi Hendrix Band. I don't know why I want to say Jimny. It's like Jimny Cricket. But anyway, they put that on the board, and like I say, hopefully there's a picture in there. If not, I do apologise. I'm pretty sure I've got it somewhere lying around. Anyway, because I had to get a picture of it. It was hysterical. We turned up, and me and my brother just kind of looked at it and thought, that's not a good sign. That is not a good sign that, like, we've turned up to the venue. We're not billed as who we actually are. We're not even billed as Jimi Hendrix. We're billed as Jimi Hendrix, whoever he is, you know. So we were like, oh god. Anyway, we went in, made ourselves known to the bar staff, and we said we were with a band playing tonight, and they said, oh yeah, you're setting up over there, and they pointed to this area in the corner of this pub. This pub is like a weird kind of L shape. And the bar was kind of like in the middle, and the bar kind of like did this kind of like almost like a U shape, but the bar itself, the pub itself was like this, with the bar like that, and there was like this little mini alcove. And they pointed over there, you were playing over there, and right next to the toilets, right next to the two doors, swing doors that went into the toilets. So I was like, yeah, that's about right. It was a fairly biggish area, but not massive, you know. At the time, my brother had a 4x10 Ampeg cab with an Ampeg head. I had my Marshall Magic 412 cab with my Marshall MGs, big pedal board, Mr. White, and my black Strat. They were the guitars I had. And then John Joe had his drum kit. So we did struggle to fit, you know. But, you know, that's is what it is. Most of the time with these pub gigs, you know, you struggle. And the funny thing was, I remember kind of as well, like, there was one plug socket. We could run PA, backline, off, and it was like miles. It was like at the other end of the pub, we had to run extension leads, like, well, one extension lead from there all the way around the pub from the outside to get it to us to have enough, yeah, so we could actually have power, because there wasn't any plug sockets nearby. And as we were setting up, you know, John Joe arrived, and as we set up and everything, and we were sound checking, and being a pub, we're next to the toilets. There was these guys constantly flitting in and out of the toilet, and every time the toilet door opened, I was singing, I would breathe in urinal air, and I could literally, the way a urinal smells, I could taste it. Because I was literally I'm playing where I am here, the door was literally there, like that's the edge of the door frame. So the door opened outwards and inwards. It was a swing door, and I was just like, oh, that's beautiful, and I could taste it. And we sound checked, and it was like, oh, this is just grim. You know, we're billed as a Jimi Hendrix, and the bar staff just looked at us with this look of, what the hell are you? They're obviously not used to kind of like the music we played, which is fair enough. You know, it's not for everybody. Jimi Hendrix and long improvised guitar solos and drum solos and bass solos and basically extending songs and stretching yourself musically. They look like they were more kind of like ready for, like, you know, a band who would come in and play, you know, whatever the in thing was in 2012. And the bar staff just gave us some of the dirtiest looks you've ever seen, and that'll become a running theme in these stories people do if these stories continue. So the bar staff were just looking at us like we were the devil incarnate. They hated us. They hated us. They literally did. We weren't even loud. You know, we were very considerate because it was sound check. You know, no one's in there. We weren't very loud, so we didn't want to deafen people. But they hated what we played. I think we sound checked Voodoo Child, and maybe another song, I don't remember. And I was just breathing in this urinal air. We had the daggers from people watching. Most of the pub just left. They just walked out and left. The bar staff went round the other side, most of them. And what was left was these two guys. There was a younger guy and an older fella watching us sound check. And we finished the sound check. And they gave us a round of applause, which you don't really get in a pub for sound check. You know, you very rarely get any kind of form of acknowledgement at all. You are just things in the corner that make noise most of the time. So, but these two guys give us a round of applause, so we were very grateful about that. And we thought, oh, maybe, you know, if these two guys stay around, at least we'll have somebody to play to. Because by that time, we had already done gigs where we were playing to no one. And I'd done a lot of gigs where I played to no one. So we thought, well, at least there's two people here that, you know, might watch us and enjoy it. So, put the guitar down, everyone put the bass down, and we went outside to wait. It was a really nice evening, it was a really sunny evening. And we went outside to wait until 9 o'clock, our first set. So it was probably about 8:30 at this point in time. And we went outside to wait, and these two guys came out and made themselves known to us. And we found out they were like a father and son. They'd come down to, there was a local haunt, and they'd come down to see what the band was that night. And they really liked, you know, he liked the dad liked Jimi Hendrix, you know, put it that way. And the conversation was going well. And then it just wasn't going well. When some rather homophobic comments spewed forth from this man's mouth, of which I'm pretty sure I can't repeat. Anyway, he basically had a vendetta against musicians who were gay. He didn't like them. He didn't like George Michael. He didn't like Elton John. He didn't like Freddie Mercury. He didn't like any of these people. And he said to us, you don't do any of that. I can't repeat that. That is not something I can repeat, especially not in this day and age. That's something I have to repeat, you know, not on YouTube. Anyway, he said, and literally, that's how he started that sentence. That was the point where the conversation went wrong. You don't do any of that. Another 2 words after that, and literally, I just went, did he just say that? And again, I do apologise for not actually being able to tell you what he said, but again, I don't want to get this video blocked or demonetised or anything like that, you know, by YouTube's silly algorithm. Anyway, because I'm not the one saying the hate speech, I don't agree with him, and I was immediately wanted to punch him square in the face, which you can't do. But I did. I wanted to knock him square in the jaw with the biggest and heaviest rock I could find, because I was just like, you what? And he kept going with this narrative, and I was just sat there at this pub bench, just kind of like literally with my head on my hand like this, going, is he going to stop? And John Joe was just kind of like, and Johnny was just like drinking, just like, maybe if we ignore him, he'll go away. It was literally kind of like this thing of like, when's this guy going to get the hint that he's really not welcome here anymore? And what he's saying is so incredibly disgustingly wrong. In my back of my brain, I was like, I don't want you to stay and watch us play. I want you to go. I want you to leave. I don't want to play if you're the audience. I am not interested whatsoever. And my fury level was slowly rising, and I was getting angrier and angrier at the things he was saying. Then he happened to mention that his son bought an Elton John CD one day, and he came home with it, and he was listening to it in his room. So what did he do? He beat his son up and threw him down the stairs and threw the CD out the window. And I was like, I can't do it. I'm going to blow. I'm going to lose it in a minute. And I just kept seeing my brother's pint glass, which I wanted to smash into his stupid face. And I'm not a violent person, YouTube, at all, but when people are going off on these kind of tangents, and he was just talking so loud, and we were out in public, and there was other people around, and I was just like, what do we do? What do we actually do? He's putting us in such a weird place here. I had no idea what to do. So I just kept my mouth shut and just tried to suppress this fury that was in me. I was just like, I'm literally going to explode. I'm going to explode. I'm going to hit him. I'm going to do something really bad in a minute. I'm going to be in jail by tonight. Because I couldn't believe what this bloke was just spouting, this tripe. And I was just like, ooh. And it was that kind of combination of feeling violently sick and violently violent and angry. And again, I'm not a violent person, Pikachu, but for stuff like that, I can't do it. It's disgusting, and I was going to lose my rag with it. And I was just like, breathe, Dave, breathe. And I eventually said, I'm just going to go on to get something from a van. And that was my cue and I went to the van, not the van I've got at this point in time, I had my other van. And I went in it and I just sat in it until we had to play. And I just sat there, like, I remember physically shaking. My hands were physically shaking from the adrenaline of me just kind of like that. And I was just like, oh my God. At least, and in my brain I was going, you can play guitar soon, you can vent it, it'll be okay, you've got music, you can vent it. So I could just breathe, and I was like, whew. And I remember my brother came out and John Joe came out, and we were stood on the side of a road before we played and just nattering away and talking about music. And the mood came back up. You know, we'd escaped this idiot, and this despicable things this person was saying, and I was just like, right, okay. And the mood lightened, we were okay, and we went back in and got ready to play. You know, we tuned up and played, and unfortunately that guy came back in with his son. It's his son I felt the most sorry for there, because his son didn't say a word. It was like he was terrified to say a word, and I don't blame him. I would have been as well if I was his son. And his son just kept his mouth shut. Anyway, we played our first set, and they watched us. And I was just like, don't look at him. So I kept my head down, which I normally do anyway. I'm not very good at eye contact. Like, it freaks me out. I'm not very good with that live. So invariably, I tend to look down over my guitar pedals. And I put the mic in a certain way where it makes me able to look down, and I don't have to look up, because normally if I see people looking at me, I get really panicky or anxiety ridden. I'm not very good at that kind of thing, which is a bit weird, but it seems to be very common for performing people, which is very odd. But I'm able to kind of like I get lost in music eventually, so it doesn't matter. So eventually all there is the music. Anyway, so I just kept my head down, and after the second song, it went away, and I was starting to vent, and it was starting to come out of the guitar and through the speakers, and I was able to do it. And we finished our first set, and we realised the only people in the pub left were the two guys who were watching us. There was three people as I'm stood here, there was three people on my right side. There was two guys and a woman. They were just sat at the bar drinking. Weren't paying any attention to us. It didn't matter who we were, they were not paying attention to us. And then there was two bar staff, but they were around the other side of the bar. They were hiding, basically. They didn't want anything to do with us. And we finished our first set, and these two guys, the dad, put his thumb up and walked out and left. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because I was just like, he's gone. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. We can do our next set to no one. We can just play for ourselves. Pack down, collect the money we owed for the gig, get in the van and drive home. We had another gig the next day as well, so we were kind of like, and the gig the next day we were already looking forward to more, because this one was turning out to be an absolute nightmare. So we were like, we knew the next day was going to be a good one. I forget exactly where it was, but I remember it was a really, it was a good venue we'd played before. It was probably like the Flying Circus or Prince Rupert at that time in Newark, or Fox and Crown, or Rockhaven in Lincoln, or something. It was somewhere where we were a bit more accepted, because we weren't really accepted here one bit. There were pubs where we just went down a storm, but this was not one of them. Hence, Gig Stories. So we finished our first set, went outside again, and we're just having a bit of a laugh and just saying like, this anyway, and we were just talking away. 15-minute break, went back on, second set. Played through the second set to no one, apart from there was these three people on my right side who eventually, occasionally would get new drinks from the bar staff, who would then disappear around the corner again. And they were not paying any mind to us. They were in their own world. I mean, they were right next to us as well. I was kind of glad that the pub was empty as well, in a way, because no one was flying in and out of the toilet, so I wasn't breathing in urinal cake air every 5 seconds, which was nice. I still remember taping down my leads, actually, when we were setting up. I was taping down my guitar leads so they, wouldn't get tripped over or anything. And PA leads. And I just remember, people going in and out of toilets, and, literally every 5 seconds there's this waft of urinal, and it was just like, whoa, turn your stomach. Anyway, we finished. We got to our last song, which was probably Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin at that time. And we finished, and I didn't say goodnight or goodbye because there was no one there to say it to. So, And it was about, by this time I think it was about 11:30, because we had extended songs. So we just played for ourselves by that time. There was nobody there, so we just played for ourselves and just, had fun. We just stretched ourselves. So it was probably about 11:30, somewhere in there at the end of the night. And we started to pack down, like you do. We've done. We were contracted there to do 2 45-minute sets, which our first set was about an hour, our second set was about an hour and 10 minutes. And we finished. We were done. And we started to pack down. I put my guitars away. I started to undo the wires and tack down the PA. And the landlady came downstairs, fuming. And I thought, oh God, what's this about? Is this because no one's in the pub? Have we scared everyone away? Because that's happened before. No, she wasn't fuming about the fact there was nobody in the pub. She wasn't fuming at the fact that, people didn't like us. She wasn't fuming at the fact she had to pay us or anything like that. She was fuming at the fact of we had stopped playing. And I was, confused by this, because I was like, well, there's nobody here. And funny enough, the bar staff had gone home by this time, people tube. They had actually left at 11 o'clock. We didn't even know. And there was just this, I think it was the landlady's husband who was manning the bar. Round the other side, and he was on his own, and she was upstairs. And I don't know if he had gone upstairs to get her or whatnot, or she had heard that the music had stopped, and she came storming down these stairs and you're supposed to keep playing. And I was like, no, we're not. We're done. It's 11:30. We've got an hour and a half drive back to home, and John Joe's got a 2.5 hour drive. We're done. And she was like, no. Bands normally play till about 1 o'clock here. And I was like, no. We were told 2 45-minute sets, which is what is standard for us. We've done that. And who are we going to play to? There's no one here. And she was like, well, bands normally play. She got really nasty at me. And she was like, bands normally play till 1 o'clock. Sometimes they play till 2 o'clock in the morning. And she just got nasty. And I was just like, don't care. I'm going home. I don't care. I don't care what your bands do. I'm never going to play here again with your clientele or this venue again. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm going home. And she goes, I won't pay you. And I said, fine, don't pay us. And by this time, I'd had enough. The night wasn't great as it was. It didn't start great. It didn't get any better. The playing bit was the vent, and then all of a sudden, the stress started to raise back up. And again, that anger that I was able to suppress was boiling again. And I was just getting angry at this woman who was having a go at me for not playing till 1 o'clock to an empty pub, when they actually said outside they close at 12. So who am I playing to? Anyway, I was getting more and more angry. She was like, I'm not going to pay you. And I was like, I don't even care. Don't pay me then. I don't care. Whatever. I don't keep your money. I don't care. I don't want to play because there's no one here to play to. You're a horrible person. I think I said something along the lines of, and no one cared about us from the get-go. So why should I play to no one? What am I doing it for? You're not going to pay me extra. So why am I doing it? Anyway, this argument went on and on and on between me and her, and I was screaming and shouting, and she was screaming and shouting at me. And basically, I was getting, it was a competition to who was gonna hold out the longest. And I just said something along the lines of, I'm going home. And I walked over, and she just kept shouting. And Johnny and John Joe had started to set their stuff back up by this time, because they were just kind of let's avoid conflict. And I said, no, don't do that. We're going home. We're going home. I don't care about paying this and the other. Anyway, they talked me round to playing again. And I wasn't happy about this. I was not happy. We didn't have any more songs. We had played all our songs. So I was just like, why are we doing this? There's nobody here apart from these 3 people who don't care about us. So I had to set up my amp, my pedal board, and get my guitars out, set the PA up again, and we had to keep playing. And I was just like, I feel like an idiot. I feel stupid. And I did feel stupid. And I was like, I'm doing 3 songs and then I'm going home and I don't care. Anyway, literally, the bar the bar, not sorry, the landlady watched us the entire time we were setting stuff back up, and I just kept looking at her. I had the daggers now, and she had the daggers at me. We hated each other basically, and I felt very justified in my argument. I felt like I had done what I was supposed to do, and I didn't like the fact that I was now being pressured and forced and into doing something I shouldn't be doing. I've already done, and there's no one there. There's her at the bar just glaring at us, and these three people over here in this kind of like little alcove bit of the pub, and I'm just like, oof. So we set back up, and we started playing again, and literally the second we started playing again, she disappeared upstairs, and we never saw her again, thank golly. But she just disappeared upstairs. I was like, and I was fuming inside, absolutely fuming inside. Anyway, we did I'm pretty sure we were playing Voodoo Child, and we were playing, there was nobody in front of us, there was these three people here. Anyway, at one point, the two blokes on this right side got up and started dancing in the most uncomfortable manner you can think of to Voodoo Child. And I was like, well, at least they're having a good time. At least there's something to be taken away from here. At least, at least there's, they're absolutely out their heads, but at least, it might go to something. I don't know. They might, at least they might enjoy it. They might actually get into it now. We've got another song to do after this one. I think we've done Hey Joe Voodoo Child, and we were going to do Led Zeppelin Rock and Roll again to end. I don't know. I don't remember. I was in that much of a bad mood. I literally don't remember what we were doing. But I seem to remember this was Voodoo Child we were doing. And I might have to ask John Joe, actually, next time I see him, if he remembers if it was Voodoo Child. Anyway, this is where it takes a turn for the surreal. And honestly, you couldn't write this. So these two guys are on my right side. They're literally right where that box is down there, People Tube, and the barefaced cab, all this stuff. They're literally there, dancing flailing around and just kind of being hysterical more than anything. And I was just kind of I was looking that way so I could see them out the corner of my eye, and they were just being amusing until dun dun dun. I don't even know how it got to this point, but can't even say it honestly, and I swear this is totally 100% true. At one point, one of them dropped down onto his knees, and the other one dropped down onto his knees, and they started dry humping each other on the floor next to me. And I just looked at John Joe, and John Joe was just cause it was just what the hell is going on? And I just happened to just glance over, and they were just going at it like jackrabbits, and just literally right there. And I was like, there's no shame here, is there? And the woman they were with at the bar, she was just leant against the bar going like this. And I always say, but I went voluntarily blind that night after as soon as that happened. I just immediately kind of went blind, because it was just no, it was just what is going on? What is happening right now in my life? It was one of those moments where you're just what is happening? What am I here? What is this real? What's happening? And I don't know how long they were going at it for, because I like I say, I went voluntarily blind. I didn't want to know. And anyway, we finished, and it was about 1:30, maybe even 1:45. We finished, and I was so tired and angry and stressed out, and this weird stuff had gone on all night basically, and I was just oh god, let's just go home. And they shortchanged us, if I remember correctly. They didn't pay us what we were actually owed. I didn't care by that time. I just wanted out. I just wanted to go. People were just scaring the bejesus out of me. I needed to get out of this place. We packed down fast, and we got out, and we just left, and as we were outside packing and those three people, the two guys and this woman, all left together arm in arm, just like screaming at the top of their lungs, just like absolutely smashed out of their trees. And we just watched them walk down the road. They could barely walk. It was just like, God Almighty, what has happened? You know, what just happened? You know, I was just like, I don't actually understand what tonight has even been. And we had, like I say, we had like an hour and a bit drive home, and all the way home, I don't think me and my brother said a word to each other. We were just like in shock. And like I say, the gig we had the next night was kind of ruined because we were so exhausted from overplaying the night before. Like, you know, and it was a long drive to the venue the next night, and it was just like we were just knackered. So the gig the next night suffered for it because we were forced to keep going on and on and on to no one. And I felt stupid, and I still feel stupid. I wish I just literally stuck to my guns and just walked out the pub. But I didn't. I didn't want to leave John and John there. I didn't want to leave them just kind of like, you know. So I was just like, you know, okay, let's just get on with it and get it over and done with. But my God, it was just like surreal. It was like an episode of League of Gentlemen. It was just like, you know, it was like we were in Royston Vasey. It was just so strange. People too. And again, we're starting off with a bang here, but stranger things have happened at trio gigs. Yeah. What to say? Anyway, PeopleTube, that's gig stories with me, Dave Simpson. Number 1. So if you want to hear more gig stories, let me know in the comment section below, and let me know what you thought to this, because I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this one. And if any of you out there have any mental gig stories like this, let us know them in the comment section below. But, you know, I think they need to be told, because, like, a lot of people see, like, you know, they see, like, professional musicians play where they've got these, you know, they've got backstage areas, they've got all these luxury things, but nobody really ever sees the pub musician and what they have to go through and what they have to deal with. And they don't really hear about what they've gone through. That's another reason why I wanted to do these videos as well. Is if I do some more of them, if you'd like to see more, I'd like to tell you some of the experiences and some of the stuff we've had to deal with in our times playing music. Because sometimes it's just not the thing, you know, and it isn't nice. And again, usually standing next to the toilets, you know, getting ridiculed, getting things thrown at you, you know, you name it, it's happened. And some other weird stuff as well has happened. Anyway, so that's gig story number 1, people of the tube. It was an experience that I will never ever forget in my life. It just, you know, to get there to be billed as Jimi Hendrix, not even the Dave Simpson Trio, Jimi Hendrix. And again, hopefully I found that picture. And then to go from that to this homophobic, horrific human being, if you can call it human being. And then from that to being argued at by the landlady, like screaming at me, and I was screaming back. Because again, I'm not violent, I hate confrontation, but if somebody's going to argue with me, I will give back as good as it comes to me, if that makes any sense. And then to just two guys doing that in a pub, you know, in public. It was just insane. It really was. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And that happened. That's 10 years ago. That's 2012 that happened. And it was just insane. It really is. In these gig stories as well, I want to tell you stories about good gigs as well. It's not all going to be weird gigs or bad gigs. I will tell you stories of good gigs as well. Of which there's been many. You know, there's been a lot of bad ones, but there's been a lot of good ones as well. It's not just going to be kind of like, you know, because some of the good gigs we've had, funny things have happened at them as well. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the vid, PeopleTube. I hope it's been somewhat interesting and a giggle for you to listen to. And yeah, if you want to hear more of these gig story videos, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll do more. If not, this will be the only one. And I'll save the gig stories for the memoirs. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the vid, PeopleTube. I'll see you again. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Goodbye now. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Yeah, that happened. Wow.